All right, let's get this thing started. Welcome to the PS I Love Me show with your host, of course, Olmiga, brought to you by LMC Radio, where loyalty means everything. And of course, Olmiga Enterprises. I'm in a good mood today. Usually I am in a good mood, but today I'm in an extra good mood. All right, let's get this thing started. Welcome to the PS. That was the great feedback that I was getting back from the other screen that's being put on. I have a lot of screens being put up here. Remember that this is a growing channel. I do not expect to be perfect at all. I expect to make mistakes and grow from the mistakes so we can all do this together. If you can hear me, please give me a shout out. Let me know that you can hear me clearly. Let me know if there's any problems with the audio. Today is my oldest son's birthday. He is 33 years old today. He's down in Florida. He rented one of those three-wheeler motorcycles and he's driving around with his girlfriend, having a great time. I just wished him a happy birthday, many blessings, and to tell him that I'm proud of him. So yeah, today, 11/9/2021. Thank you very much for the loud and clear. I want to jump into it because I only have an hour. I don't have time. I believe that I have another DJ coming behind me, which is DJ Casa. Shout out to the DJ that was there before us, Guns. Excellent DJ. Makes you move, gives you that energy, makes you sweat, makes you want to do backflips. Even though I can't do a backflip, but it makes me want to feel like I can do a backflip. That being said, let's talk about a couple of topics today. If you look, for those that are watching YouTube, for those that are watching Twitch, for those that are on the radio show, we're multitasking here and multi-broadcasting here. So I want you to understand that there's different platforms that you can watch. The most relevant platform for the radio station, LMC, would be Twitch right now and the FM station that we're on. Personally, you can catch me on YouTube and catch me in other places as well. You could also catch the recordings. I believe that Twitch holds the recording for 15 to 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. YouTube is forever. Let's get into this. You remember a couple of weeks ago, I told you that I used the phrase or the reference and ah. I've been trying to minimize that. I've also added this boom mic here. That's another one. The fan is no longer, where is it? Over here. There was a fan on this side. There you go. There was a fan on this side that didn't allow, it looked like an eyesore. So we got rid of that as well. I feel more comfortable talking. I've got a lot of practice on the other platform that we used to use before this. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Today's subject matter is giving up versus giving in. It is a touchy subject for many, but I feel like I have to enlighten what's going on, how we can look at it from a different perspective, and not be so stubborn to look at things in one dimension. So let's talk about Biden a little bit today. The president of the United States recently made an announcement. I don't know who's paying attention to this, that they're trying to eliminate the 3 or 4 credit reporting bureaus. Experian, TransUnion, and there's another one. If anybody else can remember that, feel free to type in Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. There you go. He's trying to eliminate having 3 different credit bureaus and making one central credit bureau. That is good news for some. That is bad news for others. The good news is that you can solidify and put everything all in one place. We don't have to have 3 different credit reports to maintain and check to make sure there's not any discrepancies in your credit report. The bad thing is that when they consolidate everything, if you have negative marks on one report, it will inherit into the central report. So if you have things spread out, which is giving you a better credit score, prepare for your credit score to go down when they consolidate all these 3 credit bureaus. Saludos, yes. Shout out to Brooklyn Shea. Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you all. You already know how we get down. We do this. This is what we do. We make people feel better through facts, through information that you may not find in a regular conversation, but you can find a lot of this information if you actually do your homework. I'm here to convey these messages to you and give you some type of awareness and enlightenment so that your awareness can be heightened to a point where you're paying attention to what's going on around you. We don't want to live obliviously. We don't want to live irresponsible. And we most certainly do not want to have a sense of ignorance. Ignorance, again, is not knowing something. It's used very negatively, but ignorance is just knowing something. Once you learn or hear about something, it is your choice to be ignorant. So let's stop choosing to be ignorant and let's try to absorb and apply the things that we learn on a daily basis. So again, Biden is trying to put together one credit bureau, eliminate all three. Pay attention to these things. I offer services to help people restore their credit, to get higher credit scores, not only personal, but commercial and insurance as well. I am not a financial advisor, but I am very skilled in finances. So I do not give direct advice. I give options, a different direction, a different place to make a decision or to just enlighten you on the opportunities and the options that you have. If you need financial advice, I would advise for you to go to a financial advisor. I did not take any Series 7 to sell insurance or to sell financing. I apply these things to my everyday life and it works for me. So understand this. When someone gives you advice, it's okay for you to double check this information. It's okay to fact check these things. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, don't be rude and do it in front of their face. Wait for you to get an opportunity, like you sneak in a text when you're trying to talk to someone else in front of your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Something similar to that. Let's just keep it real. Okay, so let's talk about money a little bit. You know, we talk a lot about enlightening ourselves. We talk a lot about loving ourselves. You got to understand that the PS I Love Me show is not just a motivational channel for internal growth. It's not just about the mental aspect of it. It's not just about the spiritual aspect. It's not just about the educational on paper. It is also about the financial wizardry that you can have towards your life. How you can strategize pretty much anything if it's goal orientated, as long as you have the right feasible goal and the right strategy in mind, you can put together a system that would at least get you close to where you're going. I can help you get there faster. I can help you reach your goals expeditiously and effectively. That's just because I try to cut the fat and try to trim the things that are not relevant to the things that you're trying to do on a daily basis. So again, let's talk about financing a little bit. I read something interesting today about houses. If you're planning on buying a house, they will sell it to you. There are ways to get around your income. In other words, if you're broke, you shouldn't be buying a house. Unless this house is an investment that has instant equity. You have to be kind of a magician to know these things. Instant equity, or if they're building a mall next to the area, or you're buying land that you know is going to be utilized because the occupancy level is growing. These are tactics that you use before you buy a home. If you are broke, don't buy a house. You should be able to put yourself in a position where you're not using your down payment, your last money, as a down payment and hoping that you can get by and wing it. A mortgage should have at least a 2 to 3 year plan. For minimum, a 1 year plan, but a 2 or 3 year plan, a contingency plan, just in case you lose your job, just in case you lose your spouse, just in case you lose someone in your family. Things change all the time. So try to have a contingency plan or a plan that covers you just in case of the things that are unknown, the things that we don't never prepare for these things. Have yourself a pleasant time sitting down and just understanding that these things are not deterrents. These are small obstacles that you have to get out of the way, and you have to solve these problems before you get into the house. Now, again, if you're broke, don't get into a house just to look good. If you understand mortgage broker, I guess that's one of the reasons why they call a mortgage broker, because a house does not make you rich. A house makes you poorer. Because it put a lot of stress. There's more payments and more expenses than you think they are. So make sure that before you buy a house, you understand how much more you will be paying outside of the budget that you're already used to. Make sure you get a property that's worth more than what you pay for, and it has potential to grow. These are the things that you look for when you want to purchase a home. Don't be in a rush to get into debt, because if you get into debt by buying a house, it'll be a while before you can reap the benefits. There are other things that you can do if you currently own a house. If you're going to buy a house, or if you currently own a house, look into the HELOC, which is the Home Equity Line of Credit. It is a subsidiary credit opportunity for you to pay off your house instead of 30 years in 7 to 10 years by opening up credit. Also consider expanding a business. Even if your business doesn't make money, even if you do not know what kind of business you want, even if you don't make any money, establish a business. I can also teach you that. If you're willing to contact me, I can help you, or you can go to YouTube and find this out with so many people, but there's just so much information out there. You got to be very careful. With me, you're welcome to go fact check, but I will tell you that you don't have to fact check me so much, because I fact check myself and I talk with individuals that are qualified and are successful in these areas. That being said, again, a home equity line of credit is a second credit that you're using, and you're going to use these things as leverage. You're going to leverage the mortgage, you're going to leverage these bills, and you're going to be able to pay your mortgage off in 7 to 10 years. Why wait 30 years and pay all this interest, all this extra money? When you first start a mortgage, you're paying mostly interest. They try to get their money out of the way first, and once they get their money, they try to get the house from you, and they hope that you don't make your payments. The bank system works like this, for those that don't know this. And I'm not undermining anyone here. Banks make money by lending you money. They make money off the fees. You make a mistake, they charge you a fee. Late payment, they charge you a fee. ATM fees. If you don't go to your bank to pull money out, they're ATM fees. They might be small, $1 here, $1 there, but they add up. And imagine all the millions of customers that they have, and that adds up. $1 times a million is $1 million. $4 times a customer is $4 million. There's excess. This is why banks get sued all the time. They have civil class action suits against the bank, because the banks are dirty. They use your money in the bank to lend it to someone else. And then they make money off of you when you make a mistake or your balance goes under a certain amount. Banks are not here to help you. There are a tremendous amount of lending institutions that you can go to that you don't have to go to the bank. If you have your money in the bank, and I understand that people have money in the bank because they're scared to have it under the mattress or accessible, so that if you have it in your hand, you'll end up using it. And of course, cash is the most liquid asset you can have. Liquid means the fastest you can convert it into cash. So cash is already cash, so it is the most liquid asset there is. I'll give you another example of an asset with less liquidity. If you own a business and you have accounts receivables, you have to wait for people to pay you. So it's not as liquid. If you have something that you can sell, it's liquid. If you can sell equipment, you can sell things from your business or sell things from your home. They're liquid, but they're not as liquid as cash. You have to do something before you turn it into cash. That is what makes a difference in liquidity. Okay, so we talked about Biden. We talked about the changes in credit. The credit companies are going to be one credit company. I don't know who this is important to, but it should be important to everyone. Everyone should be paying attention to this, because credit is king. There are people, and I have nothing against people that work 9 to 5. You got a good job, you move up in your job, you go about your business, you go to work, you come home, you do what you got to do. How safe is your business? How safe is your work, your place of employment? I've always said that your boss will never pay you enough to be his neighbor. I've always said that. And believe me, your boss doesn't want you living next to him, because if he wanted you living next to him, you would be a manager by now. You would be in a higher caliber. Understand this. This is a very simple way of looking at things. Your boss will never pay you enough to be his neighbor. He does not want you to be his neighbor. Another thing about finances and money that's funny. Rockefeller, that name, very famous name. Gurus, one of the richest families in the world back in the day, was quoted by saying, I don't want free thinkers. We need workers for our factories. We need workers for our businesses. Why would we want to create thinkers? He was referring to the education system. John D. Rockefeller had a tremendous influence on the education system. I don't know if it was the 40s or the 50s, 60s, somewhere around that time. And the influence that he had, or the family had, was to not educate, because the education system changed when Rockefeller got involved. They used to educate people. They don't educate people anymore. There's no more home economic classes. There's no more classes on checks, writing checks and defaults and the bank system. Those classes are done with. They're trying to get rid of music. They're trying to get rid of creativity. They don't want creative people. They want people to fill in the slots of their factories. He was quoted as saying that the education system should be more indoctrined. In other words, it's an indoctrination. It's a way of getting you used to habits. Going to school for 8 hours a day, then going to work after you get out of school for 8 hours a day. 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 8 to 4. School is getting you used to for a 9 to 5. While you're in school, it is my advice to educate yourself on other things that are going on. If you're not paying attention to cryptocurrency right now, which is another thing that I can help you understand, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Cryptocurrency is booming right now. If you're afraid of it, if you don't have enough money, I'm sure that you can scramble a little $5 or $10 right now. So you can, Shiba is another one that's growing. Again, I am not giving you financial advice. I'm opening you up to other opportunities. Shiba, SafeMoon, Bitcoin. There's a man that invested $8,000. Think about this. $8,000 last year in Shiba. This year, that turned into $7 billion. Let me say this again. Last year, he invested $8,000. And this year, he just cashed out. He just rocked the whole cryptocurrency world, especially Shiba, because I don't know if you understand what happens when you remove currency from crypto or from any financial institutions, any stocks, it rocks it, it tilts it, it starts going crazy. So he extracted his money. Think about the percentage of money that he made. So even if he would have invested $1,000, he still would have made close to $1 billion. If he would have invested $500, it would have been close to $500,000. $100 would have gave him, I'm just giving you a number, somewhere around $100,000 or $150,000 in 1 year. You're telling me that you can't put $100 away for a year so that you can reap the benefits of maybe a 6 figures? Ridiculous. And because he waited a year to extract his earnings, he left the stock in there for a year, he'll only get taxed 15%. As opposed to the 30% that you get taxed if you take it out before a year's term. Now, I'm sure that he has hired some financial advisors, if he's not a financial advisor, and they're telling him to invest that money into a trust or invest that money into index or stock insurance. It's not just insurance that you leave your child money if something happens to you. Investment insurance, non-taxable, where you can borrow money from yourself. You become your own bank when you invest into insurance. I'll give you an example. You pay a certain amount of money per week, a certain amount of money per month. If you're young, you start young and you do it slowly. If you're old, you put a lump sum. Even if you have to borrow the money to put it in, you get compounded interest. And when you remove or you take a loan from yourself, from the money that you have, it doesn't stop the compounded interest. In other words, even if you take the money out, it acts like it's still there and it still accumulates money. This is how the rich people in America keep getting richer, because this is the way to do things. This is a way to, the vision that they had is continuous income that you pass down to generations to come. You're born into wealth because somebody took the time to create their own legacy and became informed and educated about the things that make you wealthy. If you're the type that you want to reap the benefits of things and you sit there saying, why me, and you know that it's you're the reason why you're not, going forward. If you know you're the reason why you're not moving, but you sit there and you say, why not me? When am I going to get a chance? Are you talking about lotto? Are you talking about mail? Something coming in the mail with a check? Are you talking about a phone call that you're gonna get and say, hey, how you doing? You know what? We're gonna send you $1 million because we like your eyebrows or we like your nose hairs. Whatever the case may be, it's not gonna happen. It doesn't happen to anyone. That's why it's called luck, because it's like a needle in the haystack. But there are other things that you can do to assure your progress in life. And this is why I chose to talk a little bit about financial literacy before we get into the heaviest topic today, which is giving in versus giving up. I wanted to talk about money. I wanted to talk about education. If I can show you this screen right here, let me see if I can do this. If I can show you this screen real quick. This is LinkedIn. And this is something that a certificate program. This is my nephew. He took the 6 morning habits of high performance. He took this thing. It's 23 minutes. It says it right here. It's 10 videos. And he got this certificate. This certificate right here shows a couple of different things. That you're interested in getting good habits. You're interested in obtaining good habits. This is the segue that we're going to use to get into the topic of discussion. The more you learn, the more powerful you become. But if you have all this data inside of you, you have to transfer it into information and then apply it. That's where the strength of your information comes. It's not to absorb this information and retain it and not do anything with it. It's how you apply it. So think about this. There's a man in my gym, older guy. I hope he's listening now. If he's not, this is dedicated to you. Not to get into his business too deep, but he told me he's been in the restaurant business for a long time. He's been a waiter for quite some time. Some people don't consider that a real job. I do. I think that if you're good at your job, the better. If you have an opportunity to make more money because of an enhancement, if there's something that you can do to get more money, then that is a real job. Now, if you're in a job where it's not going anywhere, you're not going to grow. You might lose money. You might lose hours. It's skeptical. You don't know how solid your job is. You don't get along with the people in your job. There's just too many factors. Then that might not be a job, because a job needs to lead into a career. Or let me say it this way. It is a job. It's just a job. It's not a career. It's not something that you can build on. A career is something you can build on. That's why they call it an educational career, and they call it a business career. So understand these things. So the way that we're going to transition into the topic of discussion is through what I was talking about, education versus indoctrination, which is what the Rockefellers did. The Rockefellers made it clear, and they said it. They said it clear. We don't want creativity. We don't want light bulbs. We don't want ideas. We want people to go to work. We want people to go to the factories. We want people to go and make these products so that we can continue to be rich. I got bills to pay. I need people to work for me. I need people to come to work and do what you have to do. This is not for anyone to feel bad. If you are working, if you're making money, good for you. If you're paying your bills and having your business, kudos to you. Salute to those that are doing what they have to do. This is not a discussion of competition whether someone is better than another. The only time that I use competition or leverage on these subjects is someone that's doing something and trying something versus someone that's not doing anything at all. Now we can make a correct comparison as to the way this country is run. Let me tell you something. The service industry has jumped and boomed so much. And where is this coming from? This is coming from, first of all, what is a service? A service is something that you do for someone that either they can't do themselves or they don't want to do themselves or don't have the time. What does this do? with more opportunities in the service industry, it makes people more stagnant. It makes people more lazy. It makes people say, I don't have to do this. The other people get paid to do this. That's not me. They look down upon the people because they are serving them. So they feel high and mighty because of the service that they're receiving. They feel like people are serving them. They're not serving you. You're paying for a service. They are closer to your employee than someone who is servicing you. Think about this. They're not there to serve you. They are there to please you, but they're not there to serve you. They're there to provide a service, but not to serve you. Whatever it is, not everything is to serve you. So that being said, we could also talk a little bit about student debt. For those that have student debt, starting the end of January, they are going to remove the pause that they had where they weren't charging you for the loan or they weren't charging you interest. If you haven't taken advantage of paying off some of your student loan or finding a way to lower the amount of your student loan, then again, you're doing yourself a disservice because now all that was removed comes back at the end of January. If they imagine if you owe $10,000 and $5,000 is interest, is a $15,000, $10,000, $5,000 in the interest and $10,000 in the principal. You pay it slow, it's still growing. The only way to get rid of debt is just by paying it off. It might be in your best interest to go and get a loan and pay it off or to refinance. But before you refinance, give the president a chance to put it in effect that he is trying to get rid of student loans or get to a point where they remove $50,000 of student loans. There are programs in place for people to pay off your student loan. You work for a nonprofit organization or you work as a teacher and you can get your loans paid off in 10 years for providing a service, again, for offering a service in the public eye. That's one way of doing it. Do not refinance yet. Let the bills come out. Let them troubleshoot what they're going to do. They will eventually, this is what I feel, they will eliminate some of the student loan, but you will be responsible for the rest of it. Understand how interest works, okay? This is how people make money. The United States is not here to protect the consumer. They are not here to protect the people. They're here to protect businesses. This is the religion that we live in, capitalism. That is the religion, capitalism. Forget about Catholic, forget about Pentecostal, forget about all the other religions that are available. Capitalism is what you need to learn because that is what's happening now. Whether you like it or not, you should understand it. That way you could have a relevant conversation about what we're talking about. You understand what we're saying? Be aware, heighten your awareness, learn some more. Don't be the one that says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, guess what? We don't live in that type of era anymore. And if you're not learning about cryptocurrency, and if you're not learning about NFTs, which are royalties and money that you get for digital artwork, there are people that are buying NFTs for $100 and selling them for $60,000. This is not a joke. I'm not doing this to hype. I'm not selling anything. I'm not creating a cult. I'm not forcing anyone to do what I'm telling you to do. All I'm asking you to do is look into it, learn a little bit more. YouTube is at your fingertips. It is the new encyclopedia. It is not as thorough as an encyclopedia. It's not as thorough as a dictionary. And it's not as thorough as maybe a classroom setting. So you're going to have to weed out what is factual and what is hogwash. The only way you do that is to watch multiple videos and then you pull out the information that's relative. You be like, he said the same thing, she did the same thing, he did the same thing, he said that, wait a minute, he said that, he said that. So if you have contradictions in the information that you are receiving, then it's up to you to fact find and get the information that you need in order for you to progress. You don't want to build a foundation on false information. Fact check the information, especially if there's contradicting elements. They both could be wrong. They both could be right. So you're sitting there picking and choosing which information is better based on what? Forget about the shirt they're wearing. Forget about the hairstyle. Forget about how good they look. Forget about everything else. Listen to the information and focus on what is being conveyed to you. Go ahead and fact check. Don't decide like when you're watching boxing and you're like, I like that guy. I like his shorts. What are you doing? Or when you're watching a football team and you're like, I love those colors. I'm going to go for that team. You know, that's not the way things work. You're entitled to root for whoever you want to root for. But the sports enthusiast is looking at you and saying, seriously? You know, it's an insult. It's a slap in the face to the people that actually follow these things. And we're not just talking about boxing and sports. We're talking about a lot of things. Okay? So know your lane. Stay in your lane. Open, your awareness. Listen more. That's communication. The most important part of communication is the listening aspect of it. We said this time and time before. If you're bobbing your head back and forth, like if you're playing double dutch, when someone's talking and you're dying to say something and you're afraid that you're going to lose your point, then you're just more interested in making a better point than the person that's talking to you. You don't give that other person an opportunity to show you something because you're into yourself so much and you want so badly to express what you have that you're not even listening to what this person is saying. Yes, be open to grow. I don't care if you're 99 years old. I don't care if you came back from the dead and you're a mummy from Egypt. You're going to have to learn a lot of stuff. I don't care if you was a pharaoh from back in the days. It doesn't even matter. I really don't. It doesn't matter. If you're a pharaoh, that means that you've been dead for all this time. So you got to understand that how many things have happened and evolved throughout time. How many things have changed. They don't even know what technology is. Remember that they were building pyramids with rolling strong boulders through a circular motion to build these pyramids. Remember that they were more creative because they had less of technology. They relied more on the natural elements than the technology that's available to you right now. So that being said, we talked about student debt. We talked about education versus indoctrination, which is the education system, unfortunately, was built to create habits so that you get used to working 8 to 5, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 10 to 6, or whatever the case may be. We talked about cryptocurrency. Learn about it a little bit more. There might be someone that's into it. Have them teach you whatever they can. But compare that information to other sources. Be open-minded to the things. We can have a conversation. If you want to contact me, it's ways to contact me. I'll leave it tricky for you to find me. If you want an email, olmiga.enterprises@gmail.com. There you go. That's an outlet. That's a modality, a way of conveying a message to me as well. We can have a conversation. We can do this. Okay, so now we can talk about learning a new skill. So we go back to the guy who worked in the restaurant all his life. Now he's older. He doesn't have the same strength. He's not going to be working in a restaurant for 10 hours a day. He doesn't want to be on his feet. He's at the point right now where he needs to do something. He doesn't have any income. He's burning his savings. They've offered him positions, but he doesn't want to drive an hour and a half away. And I don't blame him because an older gentleman or older person should not be driving at 2 o'clock in the morning, an hour and a half to get home, only to cheat himself out of sleep, to go to sleep, not have a life, get up, do whatever he does, not have time to go to the gym or the strength in order to drive another hour and a half to get back to work. So why do I show you these things? Why do I show you these things here? Because these little things right here are little notches on your belt. These things are notches on your belt. Not only there are things that you can utilize in, let's say, an interview or trying to get more educated. It shows accomplishments. It's a good way of making yourself feel better. Just like a haircut feels good to a man, the massaging part of it, somebody touching your hair, playing with your face. It's relaxing. It's not just to look good. It feels great. And then when you look at yourself and you go, hey, man, I knocked off a couple of years. If you notice, I'm going with the beard. I'm doing this thing to see if a beard changes people's minds, to see if a beard causes wiseness. That if you look at someone, they have to look like Moses in order for you to listen to them. Because a wise man is old. This is what they teach us, to believe, that a wise man is old. He has a long beard. Confucius, he's been around for a long time. And let me tell you something, just because someone's been around for a long time, it doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're talking about. And everything they say is factual. And everything they say makes sense. It depends on the person. You could be on this earth for 100 years and still be clueless about so many things. There's such thing as street smart as opposed to book smart. So that being said, let's get into the topic now, since we have about 24 minutes left. I don't need much, but I needed that introduction so that you can see how much goes into this. Giving in. Is it the same thing as giving up? It can be. It can be. You could be giving up your position and reaching a consensus with someone because you don't want to hear it. You're staying quiet at the moment and giving the other person the impression that they won, or you're agreeing with them. That gives false expectations, because the next time you visit that situation, that will come up. You didn't say anything the last time, so I assumed, here we go again, I assumed that everything was okay. It's not the right thing to do. It's not responsible, but it is common in the world that we live in today. Let's rewind a little bit. Technology. If you are not keeping up with technology, you might want to say, hey, I don't want to learn the iPhone. I don't want to learn a new phone. I like my phone, and I'm going to stick with my phone. I hope that you have a phone that gets updates and upgrades. Because I have news for you. If you don't have an Apple iPhone, or you don't have a good Android like a Samsung, if you don't have these phones, there are not going to be many choices. These are the top of the line, the creme of the creme, the fastest, the most technological sound machines. If you're not learning these things and you're not learning how to do these things, then you're not living today's life. Yesterday's life is not today's life. Like Fat Joe said, I'm going to quote him. He said, yesterday's price is not today's price. I don't know if he means this, but inadvertently, he's talking about inflation. If you have your money in the bank, or you have your money in the mattress and you're not investing it or doing something with it, it's losing its value. Cash is trash, and it will be more trash. So you have to use trash. You have to use cash in order, you have to utilize it and invest it in order to maintain a level of staying afloat with inflation. What does inflation mean? That a dollar today is not, a dollar next year is not going to be the same worth as a dollar today. They're not paying you anything in the bank in order for you to make money, but they're making money off of your money. Whenever you see the bank and it's saying, we're going through maintenance, usually it's on a Sunday night. We're doing maintenance right now, it's not available. They're not upgrading anything. They're making sure that they put the amount of money that needs to be in the bank. Is called a reserve. The central banking system, the Federal Reserve. You have to have a certain amount of money come Monday morning in the bank. It's a certain percentage that you have to have. In other words, you have $1 million in the bank, and you have to at least keep 100,000 in the bank as a reserve, just in case somebody says to cash out. You can't tell someone that they don't have enough money in the bank for you to cash out. If everybody decides to go to the bank and cash out at the same time, you will not know the chaos that will cause. There will be war. The bank cannot handle or facilitate every one of its members to come in and take their money out. It would be carnage. It would be chaos. If the bank does not maintain a certain reserve percentage, they'll get fined. And don't get it twisted, banks lend money to each other, and the central banking system decides at what rate. So Bank of America lends PNC money. PNC then lends it back. They go back and forth. And they make money off each other with the loans that they are providing with the money that you put in the bank. And when the banks are in trouble and they're not able to reach their reserve quantities, guess what? They go to Uncle Sam and they go, hey, we don't have enough money. And what do they do? They give it to them. They'll give it to them. So listen, here's the proof. We won't make our reserve. So they'll find them, and then on top of that, they'll go and give the money. This is incredible. Why are we not in the banking system? Why? Because they don't teach us these things. But again, you can be your own bank if you want to invest in insurance, compound the interest, and take a loan from yourself. The same interest that you were going to pay the bank, pay yourself that interest. You just made money. If that makes any sense to you. Whatever you're not spending and you're keeping, you're making. You got to understand how the system works. If you're not spending, you're not making. Saving money, cash, it's a good idea. If you're making an abundance of cash, if you're able to save a couple of $1,000s a month, then you're good because that's accumulating. You're beating inflation because you're saving more than inflation is going down. You get to a certain point, you have a lump sum of cash, you can do some with it. There are franchises out there that you can buy for $700, $800. Tomorrow, I'm going to be meeting with some to talk about a cleaning franchise. The initial buy-in is $800. You could go as high as $3,000. They give you the clients. They do the clients for you. They give you the initial materials for you to start cleaning. You just have to go, put on your cleaning uniform, and go clean some commercial offices at night. Make that extra cash. That's not enough? Then you need another side hustle. We'll be talking about what hustling really means further down the road. We'll be talking about what it is to be a real hustler and how to manage side hustle. It is very tricky to rely on side hustles because they're volatile. They move up and down all the time. They're not secure. People are afraid to leave their 9-to-5s because their 9-to-5s gives you a secure paycheck. But you're living paycheck to check. Is that really living? When the money that you're getting on a weekly basis is already spent? Is there any room in there for you to save some money? Can you take $10 or $20 and invest it in a cryptocurrency weekly? Can you save some money? These cryptocurrencies start out at way below a penny and they go 100 times over. If any of my investments go to 1 penny, it's like 100 times the worth. So if I invest $100, that's $10,000. Think about that. Think about that clearly. If you spend $10 or $20 on a different cryptocurrency every week, leave it alone. You're going to spend that money on a bottle of liquor. You're going to spend that money on a cheesecake. You're going to spend that money on something unnecessary that you're going to eat and it's going to hurt you. That's going to hurt your digestive system. Think about the things that I'm telling you. Pick and choose your battles correctly. Again, don't just jump into things. Do your research. Do your homework. If you have any questions, find me. I'm easy to find. Look, if you don't think I'm easy to find, I'll prove it to you. If you type in Olmega Enterprises on Google, look at everything that you will find under Olmega Enterprises. Look at it. Look at everything you see. We got stuff you can buy. We have an address. We have a phone number. We have different platforms where you can find me in. So there's no excuses. Find me. You're right here. Say something. Salute to DJ Lou Diamonds. How you doing? Yeah, it's very scary that there are no raises. Yes, it's very scary that what's even worse is that you can get a job in Dairy Queen for $15 an hour with benefits. Meanwhile, you're accepting a job that's $17, $18 with no benefits, no direction. For $2, got to pick and choose your battles. Do you need a 401k in the future? Do you need a retirement plan? And you could afford to not have these $2 that you're going to spend on cake, on dessert, partying, hanging out, unnecessary, habitual things that you feel that are necessary. But again, to each his own. I'm not here to judge no one. Do what you have to do. But this is all based on complaining and whining about your life, yet you're not doing anything about it. Why me? Why not me? It's evidently clear why your life is going in the way that it is, because you don't love yourself to the point where you're open-minded about learning and growing. This world is growing right before our eyes. There are people going into space. Elon Musk is talking about traffic in space because there's too many people on Earth. Are you serious? Think about this. We're not having the same conversations. The Jetsons is right around the corner for the people that are unsatisfied with the predictions of the future and saying that we're not there yet, and they decided to take a ease or a step back because technology's not here. I have news for you. It is coming, and it's coming with a big boom. Facebook is not Facebook anymore. It's called Meta. It is going to be a virtual world where you can sell your own character and people will pay you royalties. That's what the NFTs are about. Let's go back to giving up versus giving in. When you're giving into something, it could be bad, it could be good. It depends on what you're giving into. Giving in means to me that you're agreeing, that you're buying into it. That's what giving in means. It doesn't mean being quiet and just letting the other person talk. Giving in is buying into whatever it is being explained to you or expressed to you. But it's not always bad. People use those words, oh, you gave in, you gave up. No, I gave in because I was tired of fighting my fight. My fight was based on emotional distress. My fight was based because I was in my feelings. Now, you have to recognize when you're not having a rational conversation. Remember we talked about debates. Positive debates are fantastic. They're growing experiences. It allows you to express yourself, to practice expressing yourself. Most people don't express themselves because they don't feel comfortable. They don't know how. They have reached rejection. They're just not the type of people to express themselves. They keep everything to themselves. Guess what? Anything in this world that you practice, you become better at. Even if you practice becoming a loser, you become a better loser. Think about what I just said. In other words, wherever you put your effort, wherever you put your focus on, that is the direction that you're going to go. If you continue to make the same mistakes over and over, and you think that something's going to change, we all know that that's insanity. If you don't grow from your mistakes, you will stay stagnant. Now, there's good things about being stagnant too, but not because you're not sure, but because you don't feel comfortable. It might not be the right time for you to say or do something. Understand these things. When you give up, and this is something different, when you give up, you quit. You quit completely. You give up. I'm done. Giving in means you are reaching a consensus. Giving in is more like, if you can't beat them, join them. Giving up is ending your efforts. And I've seen this time and time and time again. People are almost at the finish line. You're in the motor vehicles, you've been online for 3 hours. You're the next one online. Something happens, you gotta go. Finish what you came for. There are people that stride and strive to be excellent. You're closer to the goal than you are to the beginning of the line. Yet you choose to disassociate yourself from your own goals. And you convince yourself that what you're doing is too hard. It's too difficult. There's too many rows ahead. You're not giving yourself credit as to how far you've reached. I used to be the type of person that if it's not challenging, I don't want it. Once I know that I can have it, I don't want it anymore. So what did that developed a sense of competitiveness, if I must. Difficulty. If it wasn't challenging, I wouldn't go after it. Once I knew that I can do something, I wouldn't do it anymore. I wouldn't complete my task. I wasn't a finisher because I knew that I can do it. So I was under the impression that I can do it at any time. But when you leave all those projects not finished, they accumulate. It becomes overbearing. Small things turn into big things. big things turn into enormous things. So if you can turn something small and minute and minuscule into something that's bigger and something that's even larger, can't you reverse the process and removing the bad habits that you have? Can't you do the same thing? Because the spectrum goes both ways. You can grow negatively and positively, or you can diminish what you're doing and you can remove. Life is a balance. Sometimes you have to remove things, sometimes you have to add things, and this is where giving up and giving in comes into play. Giving in is not permanent. You gave in, you're giving it a chance. That doesn't mean that you are a prisoner of the situation. It just means that you're going to give yourself an opportunity to see things from a different perspective, that you want to give somebody a chance to show you. You could be so stuck on, I know what's going to happen, but yet if you don't give people opportunity to make mistakes, you're disallowing them from attempting things. If people feel that they're losers, if people feel like everything they do comes out wrong, they will start trying. That's giving up. That's giving up. Please understand the difference. Now, is giving up always wrong? No, there are things that you have to stop immediately. There are things that you have to stop in their tracks. In the medical field, when you don't feel well and you don't know what it is, you go to the doctor and they give you solutions. They give you options. Most of the times they say, here, take this pill and call me in the morning. The medical business is another business that is, I don't trust the entire medical business. Do your research. Before you go to the doctor, look it up. Hey, I feel this, I feel that. I have these symptoms. I have these things. What are my complications? Be honest with the doctor so that the doctor can give you a better evaluation. Have you ever had a situation where you talked to a doctor and you didn't tell him much and he already knew what it was? That's not the way it works. There's a lot of things that it could be. They go with the first thing. It could be deeper than that. It could be something that's a little bit more rare, not as common, not everyday language, not everyday terminology. You have to understand that. So know the difference between giving in and giving up. Understand this, that we don't have the luxury of giving up for certain things. There's certain things that we have to do no matter what. And this is why I emphasize, please get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I cannot emphasize this enough, that if you're always looking for something that's in your comfort zone, you're not going anywhere. If you continuously look for the easy way out, you're cheating. You're cheating yourself of the abundance of information and the total wealth. We'll be talking about total wealth down the road too, because I'll be sharing what I feel is total wealth. And that includes time management, relationship maintenance, health, financial literacy, spirituality, all the things that come. The more information you have and learn to apply, the more wealthy you are. We're not talking about how much money you got. We're not talking about all your prized possessions. We are talking about how wealthy you are inside. Like, who are you? What do you contribute to this society? How do you convey messages? Do you lead by example? Are there people that are watching you that you're not paying attention? They're paying attention to every move. Do you not know how effective the things you say and the things you do, they really are? Do you not know the role that you play and the responsibility and the accountability you have? If you don't care about how other people feel, if you don't care about how you make people feel, then you don't deserve to be in a relationship. You have to take these things under consideration. Most people don't like to be alone. People appreciate alone time, but loneliness is something that people deal with. As you get older, it might be a triumph to some that you live a long life, but it might be not. It could be something bad because you outlasted all your friends. You outlasted all your family members. Now you don't have any family members. You don't have any friends because they died. So you have to make more friends. You have to stay current. You have to keep calling. So if you decide to go with the friends that you have and nobody else, then how are you ever going to establish something else? Remember, you have to have something, a contingency plan for everything that you do in life. And if you don't, you're cheating yourself out of life because life is volatile. You do not know what's going to happen. You hope But tomorrow is never promised. Am I telling you to live your life like it's your last day on earth? No. I'm telling you to add some quality to your life. I'm telling you that these are things you need to do. You need to grow. You cannot stay in the same situation and expect to get along with people that grow. You're not even allowed to be in the same conversation. Don't you feel out of place when you're in a situation when they're talking about things that you don't know? And you get mad at them because they're talking about something that you don't know or you're uncomfortable with. Your comfort level has been the detriment of your whole entire life. Looking for a comfort level. Guess what? You know when you become comfortable? When you become comfortable with things that are uncomfortable. Because you will never be comfortable if you don't attack things or deal with things straight up. You don't brush things under the rug unless it's not the right time and place to do that. And then you do this in the future. When it comes to, let's go back to credit a little bit because I wanted to mention this real quick. I can help you remove things from your credit. I can help you remove bankruptcies. I can help you remove student loans. I can help you remove derogatory marks on your credit. If you have 3 names on your credit report, call the credit report. Call the credit reporting agencies and tell them, hey, listen, I don't need 3 names. If you have 3 addresses, that does not help you. Your credit will go up if you have 1 address. You call up the credit card companies, the credit agencies, the credit bureaus, and you tell them, I don't want 3 addresses. I don't want 3 names. I want to update my information. Your credit will go up. And it varies. For some, it might go up 3 to 5 points. For others, it might go up 50 points, maybe even 100 points. I'll give you a tidbit of information. If you want your credit to go up 50 to 150 points, let me give you a trick. Find someone that has good credit and tell them if they can put you on their credit as an authorized user. They don't even have to give you the card. You don't even have to use it. You get credit for all of their good credit. You get credit for all the payments that they make on time automatically. It looks like this is part of your credit as well. So you get credit for what someone else is doing good. So if you're not good at financing and you're not good at credit, then you better be good at relationship maintenance. You better not be burning bridges because some of the people that you sent to hell, they're not going to help you, and you need these people because these are people that have advanced in life. And you might, you ask for favors that don't help you. You ask for favors that keep you stagnant, that keep you in the low end of the quality of life. Do yourself the favor and respect those that have achieved things. As long as they're not throwing it in your face and showing off, that way you don't have to kiss their butt. Do yourself a favor and understand this theory. Listen to this. You cannot be the strongest or the weakest in your circle, but you have to be the strongest one in your own corner. You got to look out for yourself, regardless of who it is. You can't put your trust entirely on anyone except yourself. But how are you going to trust yourself if you don't know what you're talking about, if you're not educated enough, if you don't feel confident being in uncomfortable situations? Your credit goes down when you close an account because the amount of credit that you have established goes down. So if that card had $10,000 and your total was 50, it went down to 40. So you have less available credit. So I would advise for people not to close their accounts. Use it from time to time to keep it open. Don't ever close an account. Utilize it, and then every 3 months you're entitled to ask them for an increase in your credit availability. That's how your credit goes up. Because when creditors show that they want to give you money and they want to give you credit, the other creditors do the same thing. You got to understand that. It's a balance that you have to keep. You want to remove something for whatever reason it is, but you could be hurting yourself. So please look at the pros and cons before you do things, because think about it, giving up and giving in, think of the pros and cons of what you're doing and call it what it is. Don't call giving up giving in, and don't give giving in giving up. Don't mix these two things up. Take a position. Like my mother used to say, te pena o te hace rolo. So in other words, make up your mind. You can't sit on the fence for the rest of your life. So that being said, We've reached the end of our show. I don't want to tap into the next guy that's coming up. You know, DJ Casa, he's an excellent DJ. And I want you guys to enjoy that. So, food for thought. Listen to what I said. You got any questions, reach me. That being said, I am still in a great mood and I'm happy to have you here. This is the PS I Love Me show with your host Olmiga, brought to you by LMC Radio, where loyalty is everything, and Olmiga Enterprises. Have a great day. I love you all. You already know what time it is. Have a good one.